intro. That's Chicago. The mental and emotional, that was Chicago, right? The mental and emotional stress of the stay-at-home order has taken a toll on people's lives all over the country. Joining us over Zoom to explain why it's good for your mental health to find a couple funny items or two in your day is Dr. Heidi Hanna. Good morning, Dr. Hanna.
Good morning, Paul. Great to be back with you guys.
What is it? Why is humor so important during these stressful times?
You know, we are just so tired, I think, and I'll speak for myself and say we've been really rallying around this idea of being resilient, and it takes a lot of energy and effort to be patient, and especially with there's so many things that we still don't exactly know what the new normal is going to be like. And so I think people are struggling right now a little bit with kind of guilt of seeing things positive or even finding things funny in the midst of all of this when we see so many people struggling. And the reality is we all need a way to circuit break our stressful experiences and allow ourselves a moment of relief. So in the midst of taking in all of this information and really feeling the sadness and despair that a lot of people are dealing with right now, it's not a bad thing to look for opportunities to be what I call amazed and amused. So amazed by what's actually going well in the midst of all of the struggle, but also amused by what tickles your funny bone, or, you know, the silly jokes or comments that you can share with your colleagues. And I've said this time and time again, you guys do an amazing job of doing that, of bringing us what we need to know, but also giving us a little bit of levity so that our brain can actually work more effectively to problem solve.
But there is that sense of guilt, though. Your neighbor next door might be out of work. The death toll mounting on the cable networks as the rolling total is capped. George Floyd, you name it. There's enough going on the national scene that, boy, you feel guilty even cracking a smile these days.
Yeah, I think for sure. And I think that that's why it's important to understand the benefit of healthy humor is not to laugh at what's going wrong. I mean, I think sometimes that's how we use comedy, is actually to look at things and find things kind of ridiculous, or even shock value of comedy is not always helpful. Also healthy humor that you can share, especially with people you're close to, when you have some sort of social bond and you go through particular experiences together. I mean, that's why people in the media have their own kind of style of humor that we may not all find funny, and nurses and doctors and even our vets oftentimes find things funny in community and connection with each other. And I just really want to encourage people that that's okay, to not feel guilty, allowing yourself a moment to feel that sense of relief that sometimes comes from just laughing out loud or watching a funny video or listening to a funny podcast. It's really giving your brain and your body a chance to experience temporary relief. And that's so important because a lot of what we're seeing on the negative side is the built up stress and anxiety that turns into aggression and anger because people don't feel like they have a moment to have some relief. So whether it's finding things positive or finding things funny or amusing, it can actually really help us to get along better and see more possibilities for a positive outcome through all of this.
How resilient is our mind, the brain? At some point, we're going to get past this.
Yes.
But are we permanently damaged by this this 90 days where we've been just in a tunnel of negativity? Is that going to do irreparable damage to our minds?
You know, I think it's a really important question, and it's something that we're all looking at. In fact, a lot of the statistics we're looking at right now, I hesitate to put those forward because they sound so overwhelming. We really don't know, but what we can do is look at experiences like this in the past. And one of the things I'm really focusing my research on is something called post-traumatic growth, and the fact that we are radically adaptable when certain circumstances exist for us. And a couple of them that are most important are actually finding meaning in our suffering and being able to lean into community and knowing that we're in this together. So it's not to push through the discomfort of what we're feeling right now. I think we need to acknowledge that, but to also know there's so many lessons in all of this. And if we can take a moment to find things, again, amazing and amusing in the midst of this, we can actually start to see the lessons. And what I'd like to encourage people is that not to just be resilient to get through it and be where we were before, but to actually just consider the possibility that we could be better off after the fact if we can really lean into this and learn from things, even the traumatic things like what we're experiencing right now with some of the violence.
Well, Dr. Hanna, in the spirit of this conversation, I thought I would bring in my esteemed colleague, Mark Mathis, for just a dose of humor to lighten the mood. Mr. Mathis, the stage is yours.
Well, first of all, I want to say, nice new hairdo. That looks beautiful on you.
This is color in a box. Thank you so much.
Mental illness, people say that mental illness runs in my family, but I find that highly unusual because neither one of my parents were very athletic.
All right, Dr. Hanna, on that note, I think
He's a keeper, you guys. He's a keeper.
I just set the segment down. Thank you for your time. We will chat again. And oh, by the way, the best darn flip-flops I have ever worn. Thank you.
We love those reefs. Keep it comfortable.
Thank you. We will chat again.
Thanks, guys.
All right. The sun is out and shining bright. Could this be a sign of another warm day in San Diego? Mr. Mark Mathis standing by with a look at our forecast. Hey, Mark.
Also, I am not paranoid, delusional. Somebody said that I was, but I know they're lying. But anyway, did you get that one?